all its attendant evils, confusion, and miseries, and welcoming and encouraging the intermixture of races and tearing down the barriers that now divide them. They should each endeavor day and night.
They should each, meaning both sides, right? Both sides. So when you're working in India, then the Brahman and the untouchable, both of those backgrounds, both of their job is to love each other, right? Because I think you would have noticed that if you go among, and I'm still using the word untouchable, by the way, even though it's degrades on your ears, but that even though they're changing the language, but because our hearts are not changing, those people are still treated the same way as, because they were used to be called untouchables. So that's another problem in the United States too. Every few decades, we change the name, how the Black people should be called, yeah? But that doesn't resolve the issue, because you're changing the color of the bandage on the wound, but you're not healing the wounds under it. It doesn't make any difference. You can keep on changing language until you're dead, all of us. It wouldn't change anything. It's not the problem of language, it's the problem of heart, how we see things, yeah? And if you go among those, and I have worked a lot in these kind of things, they themselves, the ones that were very low and were hated, they themselves are very hateful of the others. And it's forbidden to both ends. Same as men and women issue. It's like it's not allowed to any one of them to be. That's why justice requires, what is the main core element of justice, by the way? Individuality, right? In a justice system, we are not we. It's me and you. Individuality. Justice requires that you look at every person and judge them individually, regardless of where they come from, right? And then you are allowed to say, if it's a bad character and it's a thief, you are allowed to consider it a bad person as a thief. But if Carmel is a bad person and a thief, sorry to pick on you, that doesn't mean that the people who are from that type of color and looking, they're all that way, right? That's what prejudice is. That's what racism is. Racism is when you see one thing wrong. That's why the Guardian was a preamble, but before we started on all these paragraphs, he was saying what? Even when they have those bad qualities, even if they are backward and ignorant, you still don't prejudice against them, right? It's not an excuse to do that. Why? Because 10 people, all 10 people are different characters. And it's hard, by the way, when 10 out of a certain looking people or certain language background or certain culture or certain whatever, because we kind of have this animal side of tendencies to lump some people, by the way. It was a matter of security and safety in your heads long time ago, right? Because your own type of people were safe to be with and everybody else was attacking you. So you wanted to differentiate these things. We know these things psychologically now. Animals do that, right? And that is our animal side that does that. But we are human beings, we are asked to rise above it and not look at people that way. So if 10 people of a certain kind of language speaking, 5 out of that will treat you really badly or do you wrong, it's really hard for you to not be prejudiced towards the 6th one when they knock at your door, right? It's naturally hard, but I'm asked to not do it and rise above it, right? That's what is being asked for here. So if there are 100 people and 95 people have done you wrong, and they're of a certain one kind or one language or one culture, one nationality, the last 5-year meeting, you still should give them 100% benefit of a doubt that they're good people and treat them each as an individual. That's what fairness and justice means, right? Because 95 doing you wrong does not excuse you to mistreat the other 5 because they might be wrong on that assumption, and then shunning them off because 95 has hurt you. And it's human tendency. You don't want to be hurt, right? It's really hard when people hurt you over and over again to then still be good to the next one that comes your path. But that's what God calls for. That's what God's called for. So we don't see that there is a 20 brown people and all brown people are that way. 20 women, all women are that way. 20 children, all 20 children are that way. That's what the core of prejudice, that's what prejudice means, right? That's where racism stems. What does racism mean? It's like you have certain characters of certain type of people and you dislike those, and then you dislike all of them. And that's so unjust, because if character matters, then there are all sorts of characters among those people. And it doesn't really hurt them only, it hurts ourselves, because you're depriving yourself from these glorious friendships that you could have had, glorious people around you that you could have had, and you're depriving that. You're depriving yourself, your children. You're actually hurting everybody, not just themselves, but your own self, right? So every person that walks into your life, God says, treat them as an individual, and then go from there. Yeah. And because of that, I say, whoever enters my life, I give you 100%. Then if you start doing bad, I will, start cutting your marks. But whoever enters here, regardless of who they are, whatever their social status, color, creed, whatever it is, they come, they knock at my door, they want to, I shake hands, I'll give you 100%. I'll think you could be my best friend, and then see where you take it. Yeah. So that's what we have been called here. Right.
Many times we make joke. Many times we make a joke related with certain tribes.
I hate that. From very young age, I hated that. And people will say, oh, grow up, don't be so uptight. And I was like, if I turn the same thing about you, would you say that? And you will notice that in your life, the teaser does not want to be teased, right? The bully does not want to be bullied, and so forth and so on. Nobody likes these kind of things. You don't want that. And you know what? There is no reason for those jokes to be that way. Okay, I've often asked a friend, I was like, okay, rather saying a white person did that, or a black person did that, or a brown person did that, or a Sikh did that, or a Hindu did that, or a Muslim did that. Can't you say a person did that? Tom, Dick, and Harry did that, a Joe Blow did that. The joke has the same effect. It still makes you laugh if it's a joke. Why do you have to implicate somebody in there? We don't need to have those kind of lower level of conversation and jokes, right? So that's what came into your paragraph of chastity, cleanliness and purity of language. That does not mean that we are very boring people. We can't have jokes and funs. We can have all sorts of things, but it is possible to have all sorts of things without hurting people. All right, go on. You're right, Rihanna. Thank you. She brought that up because in subcontinent, that's a very common theme. Like they will always say, oh, a Sardarji did this, or a Muslim did this, or a Hindu did this. They implicate religious people into jokes, and it's sick.